Welcome to the Health Revolution, the show that leads you to a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity through a sea of fads. We reveal the science behind the strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery, the keys to an enriched life. See inspiring interviews with the champions who've conquered life's challenges. Are you ready to unlock your potential to live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest together. If you want to change the game, it all starts now. You are watching the Health Revolution, and we're excited that you are joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. No matter which way you're tuning into us, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, there is a tab for show episode notes. We just want to bring that to your attention. There's important information about today's episode. And let's get right into it. Today, we are talking about how to turn pain into power with PEMF. What is PEMF? What does this mean? And how can we benefit from this? Without further ado, I'm excited to talk to our guest today. First, take a look at this. Meet Gary Woolums, a lifelong seeker of truth in health and healing, whose journey took him from pre-med studies to the world of alternative medicine and energy healing. Disillusioned with the symptom-based approach of allopathic medicine, Gary spent over 3 decades studying under Chinese, Hermetic, and Etruscan healers, mastering holistic and personal development techniques. After suffering a devastating back injury, Gary discovered PEMF therapy, a breakthrough that eliminated his chronic pain after 26 years. Now, he helps people worldwide through treatments, rentals, and sales of PEMF systems. And he's also the author of Recharging Your Life with PEMF, where he explores how this powerful technology can transform health and vitality. Today, we will learn how PEMF therapy is changing lives and how energy medicine can be the key to recharging your body and mind. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Adriana. Thank you. Thanks for asking me to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so glad to spend some time with you. I just want to get right into it. What exactly is PEMF and how did it change your life?
Okay, so PEMF is an acronym. It stands for Pulsed Electromagnetic Field Therapy. And how it changed my life is I had 26 years of pain and stiffness, as I said in the intro. And within 2 weeks of doing this a couple of times a day, the pain was gone. And that's nearly 8 years ago, okay? And it's still gone. I'm still on mine every day. And as we get into that, you'll see why.
When you had your back injury, and obviously that can be something that's pretty debilitating, what exactly happened? Why did it take so long? Why did the injury prolong the way that it did? A lot of people do suffer from back injuries, from one thing or one situation to the other. But what happened and why so long?
All right, so I was in an accident where I sheared my sacrum in two. So the sacrum's that big triangular bone that hangs down in between the two hip bones. So I completely sheared it in two, totally out of alignment. The doctors, they couldn't operate because there's huge veins and veins, arteries, and nerves. And they said, well, hopefully it'll fuse back together. So I was on crutches for 7 months, and it did fuse back together. I wore a belt, and it sort of shifted back into place. But 26 years, pain and stiffness of varying degrees. I spent $50,000-$60,000, getting I was looking for something alternative. I didn't want to take drugs, and but nothing persisted. I get symptomatic relief, but it just come back 2-3 days, maybe a little bit longer, a little shorter. So it was constantly there. So I was always looking for a solution.
Did the doctors not know what the overall long-term prognosis was? Was this like a freak accident, or was it just the severity of
Yeah,
the
it was
injury?
yeah, it was the severity. And, I can't tell you how many patients I've seen that the doctors say, well, you shouldn't have pain, but they're in pain. You can't, it can't be registered. It can't be seen on scans, MRIs, some of the intricate damage to nerve pathways and what's causing it. So there's millions of people out there with that issue.
How severe was the pain, like say initially as you were beginning the healing process, you being on crutches, and then just afterwards? What was that like for you?
Well, I could tell you, that any woman that says childbirth is painful, I had it for 3 days, and they didn't even know it was sheared in two for 2 days because they took an X-ray, but they just laid me down flat, and you couldn't see it. You had to be on your side. So yeah, it was very severe. But pain levels on the scale of 1 to 10, I was it could be anywhere from 2 up to 7 or 8. Then I'd break down. I'd go get a treatment to hopefully alleviate the pain, which it did sometimes. Sometimes it didn't. So that's 26 years of just doing that off and on. I could have gone to twice a week if sometimes I just couldn't afford to do it. So.
Did it affect your general mobility, say walking, sitting, standing? Were there certain things that you couldn't do? Did it affect your
Yeah.
sleep?
Sitting. Sleep was sort of okay, but sitting was would aggravate it over long periods of time. You have a desk job, so yeah, I was always dealing with that.
So I know that this would, as I can only imagine, this would change how you feel about your options with medicine and treatments. And when you and I had talked before and I got to know I know that there is a distinction between allopathic medicine and then the medicines that you began to learn about. What was the transition like for you? What made you decide, you know what, my hands are tied, but I am not going to just be in this situation. I'm not going to just sit and receive this as the finality of my situation.
Just that's just me, my spirit, just always looking for a solution. And when I came across PMF, I'd never heard of it before. And by the way, most people haven't, although it's been around for quite a while, and there's lots of science and studies behind it. That's what piqued my interest. But just backing up a little bit, I was always sort of an alternative therapist sort of person. I'd always look for something alternative as opposed to taking pharmaceuticals. And even though I was a pre-med major for 4 years at university at the University of Iowa, and but I saw fairly quickly on that that path was a path of masking symptoms, and I wanted to get to the source of the problem.
When you were at university, was that the point in which you had those aha moments of, wait a minute, this is,
Yeah, it
I'm,
was.
I'm, I'm questioning what I'm learning right now?
Yeah, it was, and I went on, but I got a degree in psychology, and then went into graduate school in parapsychology, and then got on a long tangent.
Well, sometimes in life, we discover ourselves by taking the long route. So I
Yeah,
totally
that's right.
understand that one. And so obviously take us to that moment when you tried PEMF for the first time. How did you said that most people don't know about it. I didn't know the science behind it prior to our conversation. And what was the scene like? How did you get introduced to it? And what was that first experience like?
Well, I got introduced by Dr. Google, and I read, it's known for doing it works very well with bones and bone healing, and of course that sparked my interest. But when I got on the internet and Googled and tried to find somebody that was doing it, I was in Australia then. Um, I couldn't find. I could only find somebody up in Sydney, and I'm down in Melbourne. That's an hour flight away. Um, so I did research for a couple of months on systems, because there are a lot of different systems out there, and I eventually had to buy a system to do a treatment. And within 2 weeks, it was less than 2 weeks, laying on a mat for 15 minutes and putting a little pad behind my back, they're both generating PMF. In 2 weeks, it was gone. So, and then I started treating other people, friends, and then decided, well, and because of those results, that was the whole thing. It was because of the results, and because people go, how come everybody doesn't know about this? I can't tell you how many times people said that. So that's how I got to, I started training to become a practitioner, and rest is history, as they say.
What was the reaction from your primary healthcare providers that discovered, or at what point did you disclose that this was part of what you were doing to improve on your health? What was the reaction that you got?
Well, generally speaking, allopathic medicine is not open to it, but, I can tell you that I have over 5 integrative doctors that have systems using for themselves that they couldn't come up with a solution. And I think you call them functional doctors, maybe?
Functional, yes, functional
Functional
physicians,
medicine.
functional
Yeah,
medicine doctors.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but, for the most part, I mean, I had a guy that had a knee operation gone bad. 2 months later, they were wanting to go back in. He had a balloon this big around his knee, all red and purple, and he rented the system from me. And in a month later, and this is a good example, month later, he's off his medications, went back to the doctor, told him what he did, and the doctor just rolls their eyes. And, it's just not, just blinders.
Now is this in Australia, or was
Yeah,
this
yeah,
in the States?
yeah,
So then
yeah.
in general, the practice in terms of modern or Western medicine, or however you want to, allopathic medicine. So the consensus across the board is that there is widespread limits
Yeah,
as
yeah.
to some of the elements that are maybe more creative, more insightful to look at and see if how they could help the human body. Why do you think that is? Why the pushback from doctors?
Well, it's not, to me, number one, if it was taught, the new doctors would incorporate it. The old ones wouldn't. They have, they have their ways, and but more and more, I'm getting people referring, especially anything to do with bones, from doctors and even veterinarians. Veterinarians are far more aware of PMF because there's more PMF done on horses than people. Probably still to this day, the horse racing industry uses PMF all the time because horses feel, this is a cellular charging system, and it's just like charging a battery, and your cells are like a battery. You charge them up, they run more efficiently, and the body heals quicker, and horses do. And horse community is very small knit, and I tell you, anybody that all horses run in the Kentucky Derby, they've all done PMF. And they run faster. It increases circulation. So,
And and that's wild to me. That's something that I can see as you're explaining how beneficial it would be for the horse racing community to benefit from that, and the fact veterinarians who are using it now just because of there seems to be a pattern of creative thinking to help heal injuries or situations, and then you don't have, I guess you don't necessarily have human pushback, as I would imagine.
Yeah,
What would
yeah.
you say? What would you say in the case of osteoporosis, osteopenia? Obviously, the numbers in osteoporosis globally, last time I saw, was 1 in 3 women, and then actually 1 in 4 men will be diagnosed with osteoporosis in going forward. What are your thoughts and the connections that you understand, especially with your situation, your personal situation being the example? What are your thoughts on the connection and what you understand to combat osteoporosis?
Okay, so uh, a couple of things. Uh, PEMF is FDA approved for bone fractures that won't heal, called non-union bone fractures. So there's too much of a gap, and if there's too much of a gap, the bones won't grow across that gap. So, but they do with PMF in about 4 weeks. But there's lots of research on PMF, and PMF is clinically proven to increase bone density. But I have two ladies, plus 65, postmenopausal, and they have systems. They came for treatments. Jennifer, she was diagnosed with osteoporosis, and she came to me. She was on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The following Monday, she was out of pain for the first time in about 3 years, had more flexibility, and they did their due diligence. Her husband had niggly things. They bought a system, so I talked with her about 2.5 years after that, and she had a bone density scan, and that her bone density increased 7%. Her doctor had never, ever seen that before. And I have another lady, her bone density increased 4%. Different doctor, never, ever seen that. So if you feed the body right, then you can help actually increase bone density. And besides reducing, all the pain and the aches and so on.
So take me back again I want to go back to your first treatment and then the immediate time frame that followed. Did you start to experience improvement noticeably off the bat? Was this something that that you had to just trust the process and that there was going to be a certain amount of time that would pass that you would notice the difference from before you started?
Yeah, great question. So, mine was gradual, so it was a slowly, it melted away. But I've had other people, patients, under treatment, and sometimes they'll, because I rent systems, um, nothing happens, and then all of a sudden there's some threshold. Like an example, I have a lady that rented a system for her two daughters. One had autoimmune, chronic fatigue. The other had irritable bowel syndrome. I both think those are both well, autoimmune, even the irritable bowel. And she rented it, and nothing happened for 2 weeks. She rented it for another week, and then she called me in midweek and said, "Gary, it's a miracle." And within 2 days, the things just fell off. And the symptoms just fell off, dropped quickly. Other times it's like me, it was just a slowly gradual. So it was very individual how people react. And I have to say that there's an 80-20 rule, and around 80% of people will see a benefit if they do it long enough, because some people notice things right away. Other people, like just I said the example, nothing happens. So, and then 20% of people it does it, and it can be for the same thing. And I scratch my head, but there are so many different variables in life. Just all their lifestyle. And I'll tell you, a big one is stress, and stress can be an overriding 24/7, 24-hour negative wave wave to swim against. So.
We've got a lot to cover, including your book, but first we're going to take a commercial break. We are coming right back.
So in the calm bag, it has GABA, theanine, and taurine. So theanine, which is B1, which is also in our B complex, but it also helps with the stress response levels. It also helps with the neurological transmitters in our brain. Combined with the GABA, and then you add taurine to it. Taurine is a non-essential amino acid in our body, but it's found in our heart, our brain, and our eyes. So in my personal opinion, it's very essential in our lives. But taurine has a calming effect as well. When I was battling all my AFib issues, I was taking high doses of taurine because that would help with my AFib. It would help with the palpitations I was having. And it also helped with the anxiety of having the palpitations because I knew what was going on, and so taurine helps a lot with that as well. So those three together create such a wonderful concoction that really just calms people down.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
Today we're talking about how to turn your pain into power with PEMF therapy, and our guest today, Gary Woolums, he is a PEMF therapist, and we've been talking about how this concept that a lot of us likely don't know, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, how important, how beneficial this can be. And Gary, I want to delve into your book. Your book here is called Recharging Your Life with PEMF. Well, I want to show the viewers here. We're going to do a little split screen so that they can see a copy of your book. And talk to us about, obviously you became versed in this approach to this being a benefit. And then at what point did you decide you needed to write the book? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, you know, my whole purpose in life, what gives me joy, is helping people. But I would like to, educate people, as many different people as I can, and that's one way to do it. And you're helping me, thank you, my dear, with this. So that's a very good way. And I also want to educate alternative, complementary therapists, because this is a great adjunct to any type of therapy, and it can just broaden the conditions that people can treat. So that's what the book is all about, is just educating people, and it'll either resonate or not. And by the way, that around 80% of my clients are females.
Okay, so that's a fun statistic. I know that obviously your book talks about exploring the science and benefits of pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and I just want to highlight a few snippets in here, as I always love to do with those who have the role of author. You talked about, you said here in chapter 2 on page 25, you talk about as we age, our cellular voltage decreases. And then here you write, and I just want to say a little snippet. In 2011, a study showed that on average, a 65 to an 80-year-old has approximately 48% of the voltage of an 18 to 25-year-old. This is exactly why older people don't usually have as much energy as younger people. It's simply because they have less cellular voltage. It's comparable to the charge in a battery. Talk a little bit about, go into context about this meaning, about the voltage and what this means for the human body. Can you take us through the concept of understanding just how much power we have and how much power we can realistically have?
Okay, all right. So fundamentally, we are bioelectric. We have a voltage, it's measurable, it's a very small voltage, but as Dr. Michael Levin calls it, it's the spark of life. So, and that voltage, that power, and and it's or energy, but it's real, it's electrons, that runs everything in the body. It runs it determines the efficiency of your biochemistry and your metabolism. And just like a battery, if it's low, and as we age it gets lower, things get sluggish like a low battery. And PEMF is a cellular charging system. That's exactly what it does. It uses the same physics they use as a pad charger does to charge your battery in your cell phone. Okay, and that's why PEMF works for so many different things, because as we age, as you said, our cellular voltage decreases, and that's been measured. But if you have any chronic illness, you have any injury, you also have an associated low voltage. So you have a deficiency, and health is about balance. It's about having the right amount. And so we're deficient. If chronic illness, any injury, you have a deficiency, a low voltage deficiency, and PEMF addresses this.
So what would you say to the person, or the example of a person who has not been notoriously healthy, that maybe they've struggled, perhaps a whole lot of stress happening in their life? It's chronic stress, and their body is feeling the effects of these combinations. What role can PEMF play for the person who maybe gets aggressive in getting healthier, eating better, sleeping, versus someone who maybe isn't as aggressive but chooses to embrace PEMF?
Okay, well, PEMF definitely relaxes the body. And by the way, it's FDA approved in the U.S. for depression and anxiety unresponsive to pharmaceuticals. Okay, and I've treated quite a few people with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and so on. And this can help. Again, you got the 80-20 rule, but it's really good. And what's good about it is there's other collateral benefits. PEMF increases sleep. You sleep better, deep sleep. That's when you rejuvenate, and it gives you more energy, reduces brain fog. So, and again, those are all things that have a low voltage.
So I guess one of the reasons why I was curious about that is because, we in society, there's just a little bit of a societal pattern of struggling with being overall healthy. And so this is something that is a global phenomenon now, unfortunately. And with that, we have the correlation of chronic diseases that come with not being in a healthy environment, a healthy situation, that we're just not maybe taking care of ourselves. So I'm wondering if obviously, I can only imagine that someone who is proactively healthy and they do PEMF, that they would likely exponentially improve, versus someone who maybe might be struggling in other areas, but they do this because they see the potential. Your thoughts
Yeah,
on that?
well, I get the full spectrum. I get the very proactive biohackers, if you will. They're just very into their health, and I get the other end of the spectrum. And I've seen it. I've seen it help. Obviously, if you're, nutrition is so very, very important, and PMF is only one part of a healing. You need to take a holistic approach, and definitely nutrition, and if you can, or if you want, look at the mind, and meditating or some form of practice to deal with the stress there. But it's helped the full spectrum of people. It could just do more if they did more too. So.
And that's a powerful statement that you
Yeah.
said they can experience more if they did more. Here in chapter 3, you talk about you did talk about the 80/20 rule, but then you go into cellular voltage a little bit more detail. You write cellular voltage is one of the keys, if not the key. You emphasize that here, driving factor that determines the efficiency and effectiveness of your metabolism, your biochemistry, your immune system, and the overall state of your health. And then you mentioned, for me, PEMF therapy addresses one of the primary deficiencies that most people aren't aware that they can supplement. And you're talking about lack of cellular energy. You go into detail about that, and then you equate it. You said PEMF therapy could be thought of as an electron supplementation or an electron energy delivery system. And so why do you think that this is, so you touch on this, and obviously it's a great highlight. Why do you, in your opinion and interactions with the science community or even the medical community, why is it that this is lacking so much when energy obviously is the driving force of our planet?
Well, it's because their focus is pretty much on biochemistry, and that's what they look at. But there is a new science out there. It's got a name. It's called biophysics. Okay, and so they're looking at the physics of the body, and the physics is the electromagnetic portion of it. So we are electromagnetic. Magnetic. If you have electricity, you have magnetism. They live together. If you have a moving charge, you have a magnetic field. You have a magnetic fields that's moving or time varying across any conductor. You have electrical charge. But you can't. There's no drugs. There's no drugs. Acupuncture addresses that, addresses the meridians. The meridians are electrical currents. They're just opening them up, okay? So it's like you got wires broken. So they're reconnecting the networks. This is a cellular charging system. So, but going back, it's biochemistry, because biochemistry can be tweaked with pharmaceuticals, with drugs, and that's just modus operandi.
Can you mention examples of physical situations that maybe are not as common that PEMF addresses,
Yeah.
that would, like good trivia information,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
not so common scenarios?
Yeah, well, the ones are, it's like a tinnitus or tinnitus, depends, which is the ringing in the ears. There's nothing medical. They don't have a drug for that. And, I've had success with that. And I've had other people that, it didn't work. And also peripheral neuropathy. So you get pins and needles or tingling in the body. So it's the nerves. It's the electrics of the body again. And they can't find a drug that will, suppress that. And I've had people with terrible peripheral neuropathy, that PMF has helped. And neurological things, notoriously with PMF, they take a little bit longer. and I've had two people with traumatic brain injuries. So they got concussions and they didn't come out, called post-concussion syndrome. One for 10 years, one for 13 years. And within 2 months, they both got systems, and within 2 months, it disappeared. And I had the lady, a horse rolled on her head, 13 years. She was afraid light and sound hurt, even a car door slamming hurt. And two of her therapists, when they saw what PMF did, they bought systems because it opened their eyes up.
On chapter 4, I do want to hold space for you talk about contraindicators, and that would be important to highlight. Contraindicators, things that would be of a conflict for this to be beneficial. And you said specific conditions when PEMF should not be used. And then you mentioned the contraindications for PEMF are pregnancy, epilepsy, battery operated devices like pacemakers, anyone with an organ transplant. And then you mentioned PEMF should only be used with the approval of a licensed healthcare professional or for someone under medical supervision with the following conditions. You mentioned presence of tumors, serious cardiac arrhythmia, acute attacks of hyperthyroidism, let me emphasize that, and extreme sensitivity to electromagnetic radiation. Can you speak a little bit more about the contraindicators and just the things to be aware of, just because it's mindful to do so?
Yeah, okay. So the contraindicate pregnancy, epilepsy, those are the manufacturer's lawyers talking. It's been shown to there's research that shows it improves helps people with epilepsy. It's just about, if they have a seizure, they just don't want to get sued. And same way with pregnancy. Organ transplants, this increases the immune system. The function of the immune system. People with organ transplants, they're taking immunosuppressants to suppress the immune system so it doesn't reject the organ. And and implants, that's you're battery operated. You just don't want to play with possibly doing something to the mechanics of the pacemaker or the electrics. Although the system I use has been shown that it doesn't do anything, but still it's just a manufacturer's liability.
And then, of course, obviously, I completely agree with you that the legal speak is just eyes and ears open in the rare events and the occurrences, just to the situations in which it's important to just eyes and ears open and all of that. You talked about.
I just want to say one thing about this is PMF has been clinically proven. Well, more than one study does not increase tumor growth, and it's FDA approved in the U.S. for one form of brain cancer. So you have to do multi-million-dollar studies for each type of cancer.
And I love here in the book where you write, you go into detail in chapter 2 about the different breakdowns of the definitions and the components of the human body. You talk about electrical signaling in non-neural tissues. You go into detail about that. Also, ion channels and membrane potential, cellular communication, regulation of physiological processes, emergent properties and pattern formation, and the importance in regenerative medicine. So I like how you highlight some of these subtopics and giving context to what role PEMF plays, and your thoughts in writing and adding that to the book.
Well, that's probably the most technical side of it. So I have to address some of address that to people that are interested. But one of the purposes of the book was to there's a couple other books out there and they get a little bit too technical. So the purpose of this book was to make it a little bit, to put it more in layman's terms. So, but if you want to get into the details, I'm happy to do that, and I like to talk about the physics. But it really is simple. It's a cellular charging system that works just like a generator, same physics a generator uses. And again, as we go back, we are fundamentally what's running the whole show is it's the electrics of the body. So it's getting close to the source, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do, with helping people.
Absolutely. We're going to take a commercial break. Stay right there. We're coming back. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you. Hi, I'm Adriana, and welcome to Fit Bites. Today, let's talk about gut inflammation, something that can impact everything from digestion to energy levels and even your immune system. Now, chronic gut inflammation is often triggered by processed foods, high sugar intake, stress, and imbalances in our gut bacteria. Now, when your gut is inflamed, you might experience bloating, gas, acid reflux, or even brain fog and fatigue. Now, over time, this can contribute to more serious issues like leaky gut, autoimmune conditions, and poor nutrient absorption. The good news? You can help calm gut inflammation with simple changes. Focus on whole nutrient-dense foods like leafy greens, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir support good gut bacteria, while bone broth and collagen help to repair the gut lining. Managing stress is also key. Chronic stress can disrupt gut health, so practice deep breathing, yoga, or mindful eating. Your gut health affects your whole body, so take care of it, and it will take care of you. Stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana. Talking from pain to power using PEMF. Our guest today, Gary Woolums, he's a PEMF therapist, and we were talking about his book here, Recharging Your Life with PEMF Therapy. And I'm curious, I wanted to ask you, Gary, what's been the transition like from patient to practitioner? What's been that journey like for you?
Well, it's been, number one, it's been very rewarding to be able to help people. And I spent a lot of time studying, and writing the book was also great because that you learn a lot, and you want to get things right too. I really did. So it's been very, very rewarding. And just a little bit of this to the side, this is something that's very easy to learn to do, and I teach practitioners. So I want to duplicate myself so other people can go out and help other people and educate them about PMF. So and it's a it's a learning curve too.
And what about the future of PEMF excites you? What do you see? How do you see things evolving in this field?
Well, I've been doing this going on in May. It'll be 8 years, and I've seen a big evolution and opening up of this, but it's still really in its infancy. So, and I think this will be will be adopted by more a lot more for as just one of the fundamental treatments to have in their practice, or for people to have in their homes.
I want to bring up some information for our viewers. We've got another slide talking a little bit more about PEMF therapy, and talk to us a little bit about what you have, what is it that you're presenting, and what's exciting about what we're seeing here.
Well, this is about the book, and then we'll get to my website. So, I'm a practitioner, but I'm also a distributor, a global distributor of PMF systems. And so, if anybody wants to find out about PMF and getting one for their home, then you can contact me about that.
So obviously for our viewers, grabbing the QR code would make it convenient to find out more information.
Yeah, that's to the website. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so are there things that are happening in the future that are turning the page for another exponential leap? Are there things coming up that maybe is exciting for the industry? Anything else that's coming up that is that you would love to share?
Yeah, well, I spoke about biophysics, and there's research going on, and there's a Dr. Michael Levin, or Michael Levin, he goes by, he's PhD doctor at Tufts University, and he's looking at the bioelectrics, and right now he can trigger the bioelectrics of the body in a frog to regenerate a leg. Okay, frogs can't do that. All right, salamanders can, frogs can't, and he's just triggering the voltage of it. So now he can do that. He can trigger and generate whatever on any part of a frog's body, an eye or whatever. Now he's going into doing mammal research for mammals to regrow limbs, because he wants to be able to do that with people, and then he wants to be able to trigger and grow from stem cells and grow organs, okay, and then and cancer too. He says cancer is the bioelectrics gone crazy in the body. So getting to the source of things.
And I can see how this could be exciting for when you say the idea of growing limbs. Obviously, not something that's happening right now, but certainly, it would be exciting. Say that comes to fruition, but then I'm also thinking of, like, say, burn survivors, or those who have had the type of injuries where the regeneration of that body, that area of the body, is not currently possible, not that how we would want for it to be. And so this is obviously this can be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay right there. We are coming back. We've been spending quality time with our guest today, Gary Woolums. He's a PEMF therapist. Today's topic, turning from pain into power with PEMF. Gary, where can our viewers find you in the virtual space?
Well, you can find me on two different websites. So there's PEMFinc.com in the US and PEMF.com.au in Australia. And contact me. I'm happy to give a free 15-minute consultation. So, to address your specific questions. Everyone always has specific questions. What about this condition and so on? And more than likely, I'll have experience with it.
So obviously you're on the global side of things. You
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
you're growing your exponential reach and connecting with those from all over the world. So it doesn't matter where, say, the viewer is tuning in to or tuning in from, but that they're able to connect with you in these two websites.
Yeah, yeah. I'm, presently training a practitioner in Nebraska today.
That's fantastic. And what do you see coming up for you in 2025?
Um, I was just getting my social media act together and well, continually learning. It's that's what I like to do, and continually educating people. That's really what I want to do too.
Absolutely. Well, it's been incredible to find out more information and obviously giving tremendous hope to those who who can benefit from PEMF therapy. Gary Woolums, thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Adriana. It's great, and you ask great questions, by the way.
Well, thank you. That's what I aim to do. And of course, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors for supporting our show. We want to shout out to Biomed Mobile IV, Dapper Mobile Apps, Launchpad, and Synergize Fitness for just being in our corner. And to all our viewers, of course, you can find us on the web. Our web address is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can subscribe to our newsletter. You can also email us with any episode ideas that you might have that you want to share with us. And upper corner of your screen, you will see a QR code. If that's easier for you to grab, feel free to do so. And then, of course, you can find us every Tuesday and Thursday on E360 TV and all the distribution handles because we are expanding Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern every week. That's all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We will see you soon.